Thank you. Oh, let me put some lipstick on. Hey, Paula. I have lipstick on my teeth. Sorry, just had to. Oh, there's got to be more than three of us. There he is. Jason.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Really good, thanks.
This is probably one of I've been so excited for this one today.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
I really am. So just know that our people are a little slow. They get there. So we're
Cool.
gonna give it a few minutes.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
I
I
know.
do I do productivity coaching on Thursday and Friday for an hour. And usually it's from 10 to 11, usually by about 10:05, 10:10, everybody shows up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So what is this productivity coaching? What are you doing with that?
Yeah, so I 3 years ago, I was hired on as a productivity coach, and I'm not the only coach in our office. There are 3 of them. So I only do it now like 2 hours a week. So
That's awesome.
yeah, no, it's still great. I love doing it. But it's not I'm not the only one. There's actually 3 of us in our office because I don't know
Wow.
how big is your market center?
We are a smaller one. We have about 160 agents.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's
So
not
we're just
too
south of
small.
the metro
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. How large is your market center?
We have about 330 agents.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
It's crazy. Hey, what's up, Missy? Hey.
I know. I'm going to thank you with the whole group, Missy, so that they know. No, Missy, is our connector.
That's awesome. I love that.
She knows.
That's
So
cool. So yeah, I do that 2 hours a week now. And it's still a lot of fun, and I still enjoy it.
So you're probably working with people that are already in production, not the launch agents, or how does that work?
No, actually launch agents, but there's 3 coaches. We have so many recruits that we've split them all up between 3 different
Oh, that's wonderful.
coaches.
I may ask you.
I have one of the smaller groups these days just because I can't give as much time as I used to be able to
Well,
do it.
I don't even
But
know how you give that time, quite frankly.
I don't know either, but it happens.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So, okay, well, we're going to get going because we only have an hour with Jason, and I want to make sure that we fill it up with all of his wonderful words of wisdom. So, first of all, Jason, thank you so much for saying yes. It took us several months to get on the calendar because you are a celebrity, as they call it. We first were introduced to you by Missy Webb, and we also saw you during Mega Camp and the digital experience there. And when Gary Keller spent time interviewing you, that was just amazing. And immediately I said, we've got to get him here on our Icon series. And that was right before actually your little boy Levi was about due. So we kind of had to wait for some stuff. So I just want to kind of give an intro to who you are based on what I know. You are in the East Bay, San Francisco area, right? And you've been licensed since 2015, and
Correct. Yeah.
you were Keller Williams Rookie of the Year. And let's see what else. You're in Gary Keller's top 100 individual agents. So all of you individual agents out there, these are some words of wisdom that you're going to hear from him. Then so let's talk a little bit about your business. I kind of let this kind of just go and flow. I've got some questions if we start feeling like we're needing some questions to ask, because there are several that I want to. But I do want to say that you've got just an incredible, beautiful family. You've got, your wife Rosemary. You've got Levi, who's about a little over 3 months, and then you've got Nixon, who is adorable and playing a mean guitar at a little over 2 years old. So I'm going to just turn it over to you and give us what you got.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Stephanie. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all this morning. If you're able to turn your camera on, I'd love to see your lovely faces. And I'm excited for today. I always appreciate an opportunity to give back to our own company. I love Keller Williams, and I've been here going into my 7th year now, which it's crazy how quickly that happened. So yeah, I figure like maybe I could just start, Stephanie, with just telling my story.
That's what we're looking for.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, we'll just dive right in. If you guys have any questions, just throw it up in the chat, or just kind of raise your hand, or I don't know how you normally do this, Stephanie, but I'm happy to take all the questions.
We're pretty low key here, so it's about that. So if people have questions, raise your hand, type it in the chat in either way.
Okay, so I started in this industry when I was 25 years old. 24 going on 25, I believe. I actually was working at a bank, and I had no idea what I wanted to do for my career, and I wasn't making much money, and I was engaged and broke. It's a joke. Like I really, my car squeaked. It was barely running. And a guy from my church just said, "Hey, our real estate team is hiring an intern, and we'd love for you to join us." I had no idea what realtors did. Like I thought realtors just sat around a table all day and decided like how they were going to build a home. I didn't know. Like I just literally didn't know. So I went and I interviewed with their team, and there's this group of guys, and they're really cool. And I remember specifically being that age.
Joy.
I remember them being being in that room, and they said to me, "Jason, in our worst year, we still made $80,000." And I still remember that to today, because I was 24 years old, and that's like music to my ears, and I'll be honest, at first, like I didn't know where this opportunity could lead me, but that really perked my ears. So I was like, okay, I think I should give this a shot. And just to give you guys a little background, my mom is a Mary Kay national sales director, so she crushes it with Mary Kay. So I had this and my grandfather, he was actually the district salesperson for Sears, and he helped open up Sears shops all across up and down California. So I think there was sales in my blood. I just didn't know what I wanted to sell. So fast forward back to my story. I get hired on as an intern, but I had no idea what I was signing up for. No idea. It was a door knocking internship. So I get thrown onto this team, and I'm told that my job every day is to go and knock on doors for literally 4 to 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday. That was my job. And I got paid a salary plus bonus if the lead turned into a closed sale. And it was a 8-month internship. Started off as 6 months, but they kept me on for a couple extra months. And that's how I got in. So I learned right from the beginning the best thing you could learn, which is, business is not just going to come to you. You have to go find it. You have to go and get it. So I went and I knocked on doors with these guys, and they actually would drive a golf cart into a neighborhood on a trailer, and they drop the trailer, and we'd hop in the golf cart, and we drive up to the house. This guy Bobby would hop out on the left, I would hop out on the right, and we'd knock that door, come back, zoom over to the next house, and we literally would do that in neighborhoods. Now, I'm not suggesting you go and do that. I don't even know if that's legal, but that's what I did. So when that was done, that internship was done, I was kind of at a crossroads. I had made better money than I was making at the bank, but that team was kind of falling apart. And I decided, through some wisdom and counsel, like, hey, I can do this thing on my own. So I actually went and it took me a while to find Keller. I jumped around a few brokerages, But I'll say this much: the moment I signed up with Keller Williams as a new agent, I signed 2 listings within 5 weeks of working at Keller, and I knew that it's where I needed to be. So I started my business, as you might guess, knocking on doors, because that's what I knew. That's just what I knew. It was a habit that I'd formed, and I'd done it for so long that I knew that I could go out there and knock on a door. I could find a lead. I know how to keep them in a spreadsheet. I know how to follow up with them. I can do this, right? So, but I will say this: from the day I left that internship to the day I sold my first home, that was a long time. That was about 7 months. So I think everybody gets in this industry thinking that they're gonna sell their first or second home within 2 weeks. And luckily, I had a lot of mentors in the business who told me, "Hey, it could take 6 months to a year to close your first." So I signed my first 2 listings. Fast forward to that year, I ended up selling 16 homes in 8 months, which felt great. Like I was really excited, and I think it was at that time I knew, like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like I like this, right? So I got Rookie of the Year for my office this year, or that year, and at that point in my career, I realized like I had a huge network, but I hadn't tapped into them yet. And so I had to go through this mindset shift of knocking on doors to actually talking to the people I already knew, but was scared to talk to. Um, so I started doing that. And slowly but surely, I started building a referral based business over that period of time. And if you fast forward to today, 6 full years later, I am like 75% referral based. Everything else comes as a mix of either a door knock from 3 years ago, an open house from last year, a random internet lead, a random mix of other things. So last year, I was fortunate to be the number one agent in our office as far as being a solo agent without a team. And I'll say this much: as wonderful as that sounds, I will never do it the way that I did it ever again, because I worked a lot. And we can dive into that in a little bit too. But it was a great year. I'm super happy about it. And now I'm at a place where I'm working by referral and I don't knock on doors anymore. Um, that's that's my story in a nutshell. That's how I started. That's how I've kind of gotten to where I am today. In the very quick Spark Notes version, that's my success story.
So Jason, tell us about your production last year. So how many units? And I know the price point in San Francisco
Yeah.
is much higher than what we are here, but how many units was that?
Yeah, so I sold 43 houses last year,
Nice.
and my average price point personally is about 800,000.
Yeah,
So the math on that comes out to about 27 million in volume.
gotcha. Now, so do you have any help now? I mean, I believe you've got some admin help.
Yes. So I have a transaction coordinator and I have a full-time administrative assistant.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yep.
But you're going out there. Oh, someone was going to speak.
So last year I actually started off the year without an assistant. And the scariest thing ever was hiring in the middle of a pandemic. So I hired on an assistant probably around, I think it was June. June, and she started in July. So I actually did that first 6 months without any help. And now, granted, I've always had a transaction coordinator, and I feel like I've never not had a transaction coordinator, and I will
Okay.
never not have a transaction coordinator. I'll say
Right.
that much. Yeah.
So Jason, one of the things that I love when you were talking about, the setting expectations for a lot of new people, because we have a lot of new people
Sure.
probably listening in,
Yeah.
and talking about it was 7 months between that internship and then your first transaction. You know, one of the things that intrigued me so much about you was you had a post on your Facebook page about the empty parking lot.
Mm.
I mean, that just rang so true. So, what words of wisdom, advice would you give someone that's just getting started in this business?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about my story, I didn't realize I was following a model. but I was. And the model comes out of the book, The One Thing. And it's the one thing principle that I've really lived by. And it's this focusing question. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this focusing question, but it's, what is the one thing that you can do today, this week, this month? There it is. There's the book.
There it is.
Heather's got it. Such that by doing it will make everything else easier or unnecessary. And what I didn't do was I'll tell you what I didn't do. In my first couple of years, I didn't focus, like I didn't try and be good at everything. I think the mistake is we get in, we see this agent doing one thing, we see another agent doing something else, and next thing you know, we're trying to do 5 to 7 different things at once, but we're not making any traction on one of those levers at all. And I'm talking about lead gen here, like specifically. And I think that's really important. So in the very beginning, it was door knocking and open houses, right? Like that was my thing. Like I held every open house that I could. I knocked on every door that I could. And keep in mind, Stephanie, when I was on that team, I learned another really important thing is you have to know your numbers. And tracking your numbers gives you so much clarity. Now, as your business grows, it's definitely harder to do. But when you're a brand new agent, it is the best thing that you could ever do for yourself is track your numbers. And specifically, there's 3 things I would track every week. How many people did I talk to? So the number of contacts I made, how many leads I got, and how many appointments I attended. And each week, my goal was to get an appointment. Because you and I both know without an appointment, we don't have any upcoming closed sales. Right? You have to get up to bat in order to have a chance to hit the ball. So that's what I did. And I think that was the key to my success early on. I will say this. I think what's great about being a brand new agent is you're in a position where you get to test out a lot of different things and to find out what you're good at. But I think the flip side to that is you think you have all this time. You feel like you have all this time to try out so many different things, and then you don't gain any traction. So going back to that one thing principle, just like picking a lead gen lever that really works for you and then committing to it. And I'm talking about committing to it for like 3 to 6 months. And I will say, Stephanie, I gave that 7-month window. I can't tell you the number of leads that I actually got within those 7 months. It just took me until I think the 4th month to actually get someone to sign a contract, right? I had all of these leads, but I hadn't got the opportunity for someone to sign a contract yet. So hopefully that helps a little bit with some of the newer agents here. You really got to commit to 1 or 2 strategies. Don't try and do everything at once.
Jason, I love that. That is so true because I think we start swatting at various things to see what sticks. And I think the hardest thing that we do is that didn't work. Let's try this. That didn't work. Let's try this. And we're not giving it the longevity that's needed. So I love that you talked about that. You know, the other thing that you mentioned is you had opportunities, you had leads, however, you didn't get them under contract. So I talk about converting because we can get really great at making phone calls or door knocking or whatever it is, but the challenge can be the next piece is how do I convert? What do you think played a big part in you becoming better at converting those leads?
Yes, that's a great question. Well, I think it was bold, honestly. I took
Mm.
bold in my first year and I learned the scripts for my listing appointment and I learned closing scripts. So closing scripts like let's meet, right? Like something as simple as that changed everything. And so what I did was I actually took those closing scripts and I changed my approach when I was door knocking to, if someone said they were 3 months out or 6 months out from selling, I would be like, great, when you're a month or 2 out, let's connect and then we could set a time for us to like, I would talk about doing an appointment later and I switched to just saying, hey, why don't we meet? let's see what your home is worth today, because here's how long the process takes. So it's probably good for us to get the conversation started now. And so in that first year, I went on 32 listing appointments. Now keep in mind, I only signed 8 listings, but that was 32 learning opportunities for me to get in the door at an appointment where I could actually test my skills and learn with someone who was potentially going to sign a contract.
Got it. Got it. I
So
love that.
scripts, it's practicing. I think that's actually like it's an often an overlooked thing, and I feel like it's often kind of looked at as like an old school sales type of thing in our industry today. I just see so many agents straying away from that, and I think because of social media and different things, like everything feels so much more personable today. But don't ever forget the power of like a closing script or having scripts for your appointments so that you can convert. I still script practice today.
That's what the champions do. And I have to agree with you. It seems that's the piece that we take.
This
There
is
you go.
the Script Master Award I won in 2019 from our office. The agent who can talk their way through any lead gen conversation.
Love it. Love it. Well, you know what? You're also, I'm going to plug you here. You're also, if I remember correctly, you're part of the Script Champions going into Family Reunion. And
I got my tail kicked. I got my tail kicked by an agent who crushes for sale by owners. Her name is Emily Peckham. She's a young agent and she is like good. You should go watch her. You should
we
go
just
check her
might,
out.
we
But
probably will from there.
yeah,
So
yeah, that was a cool opportunity. So anyway.
I love that. I just love that. See, when I think of you and I think of success, you know, Gary Keller says this all the time. I don't know why we say get back to the basics. We should never leave the basics, which is lead gen, door knocking, whatever it is, open house, whatever that is, script practice. These are the
Yes.
foundations of success at Keller Williams. And I think sometimes we're looking for the magic pill or the magic arrow that's going to make us successful overnight.
Yes, Stephanie, we're all entrepreneurs at heart. We all want something to excite us. We hear about a different strategy and we get excited and we want to just try something else out. Yeah, I see Missy, you put here in the chat. Yeah, people are afraid of boredom, and that's true. And that's kind of what I was going to say next. I think boredom is actually like the best thing you could have in your business. And here's what I mean by that. Like tracking the number of people you talked to. How many leads did you get this week? How many appointments did you attend? How many contracts did you sign? Focusing on those things every week for the rest of your career. Like, and not getting distracted with, oh, let me try this. I should do that. I had 6 things I wanted to share that I learned in 6 years, and I'll go ahead and just share one of them
Oh,
now.
awesome. Good.
Yeah. But one of the points, and then we can go into this, is don't get caught up in a race that someone else is running. I think we do this all the time. I think we get to the office, there's this energy, right? Like we see agents buzzing around, working on different things. We get on social media and we see other agents, oh, they're crushing it with video. Oh, look at their marketing, they're posting this. And we get caught up in the race of what other people are doing. And we lose sight of how we committed to doing business. We lose sight of our own goals and our own purpose in that. And so I think one of the keys to success is don't get caught up in someone else's race. Like you're not in competition with them. Your only competition is yourself at the end of the day.
You know, can I touch on that just for a second? Because you had a brilliant quote that I loved. And it says, one of the greatest regrets in life is being what others would want you to be rather than yourself. That kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of that. Just run your race.
Yeah. Run your race, and people will always want you to be something, right? I remember when I was a new agent, I would tell people I was getting into real estate, and it's so funny. Other people's insecurities come out when you have drive and ambition and big goals. You're going to hear things like, yeah, but prices are at all-time high. I mean, don't you think the market's going to crash? Or, oh, you better save up for a rainy day, right? You better, Yeah, I had some friends who got into real estate, but they got crushed when the market dipped, and they're no longer doing that. So make sure you have some extra side income. Like they're telling you to have a plan B in case it doesn't work out. And that is, first of all, just realize that's their own insecurities and their own fears around your goals. That has nothing to do with you, right? The best approach is there is no plan B. I have to make this work, and I'm going to figure out how to make this work, even if it takes me 6 months, right? That's the that's the approach. So I think there's a lot of people out there that want to dispel their own fear and their own insecurity, and it can stick to you if you don't have the right mindset. So I think that's really important, is keeping tabs on your mindset so you don't let that stick to you.
Got it.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I went through some of the things you shared with me, Stephanie, in the email. Some things I did well and some lessons I've learned, and different lead sources. If you want, I can jump into some of those different things.
Please do. And your 6 things. I'm really captivated now.
Cool. Yeah. So let's start there.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, if you have like a pen or paper or a computer to write these down, I don't know. I was just reflecting, before this talk.
In
There
the
you
back
go.
of this.
Oh, there we go. I like that flyer. Oh, send me one of those. I gotta
Awesome.
post that on around town. No, I'm kidding.
There you
So the first thing is consistency wins. Consistency wins. That's something that I learned over the 6 years, is how you show up, like your attitude, your belief, showing up in a consistent way every single day. And it's so hard because there's so many things in life that can drain our energy or depress us or cause us to get thrown off. And I think if you can find a way to protect your energy and to show up with the same attitude and the same belief about your business every single day, you're gonna win. And I think along with that is also being consistent with your I already said attitude and beliefs, and how you attack your business as well, right? There are days where I'm confident I'm gonna call 50 people, and I'm just gonna have conversations, and I'm probably gonna get a couple referrals. Then there are days where I don't want to call anybody. Like I just don't feel like it. On those days, make 5 phone calls, right? Make 3 phone calls. Still take action. And so I think just consistency wins. I think about, like, you guys ever have in your office, like, who's number 1 that month, number 1 group, number 1 team, number 1 agent? I think something interesting that I learned and reflected on last year, even though I was the number 1 individual agent in my office last year, I was never the number 1 agent for that month, any month of last year. So I don't know if you get where I'm going with this, but I might have been in the top 5. I was in the top 7 every single month, but I wasn't number 1. And I think, like, I actually think sometimes when we get that number 1, it can actually cause you to take your foot off the gas pedal too, right? Because you're like, oh, well, I checked the box, I did it, everyone's praising me, yay, cool, like, look at me. When at the end of the year, I don't care. I don't really care if I'm number 1 this month. I care if I'm on track for my goals, right? I care if I'm on track to help as many families that I committed to, right? So it's all about consistency. Think about a baseball player and their batting average, right? It's not about going out and hitting a home run every day. It's just about getting on base and scoring runs. So that's the first thing I learned, is just consistency is really important. The second thing is your habits decide your future. That's obviously from an FM Alexander quote. And specifically your habits around your work ethic, gratitude, exercise, and how you talk to people and how you talk to yourself. And I've realized in times in my business where things weren't going as much as as good as I was hoping them to go, it's typically because I've created a bad habit in that area, right? So really, you don't decide your future, your habits decide your future. That's the second thing. The third one is faith first, family second, and business third, in that order. It has to be in that order. And the moment we allow that to get out of order, which by the way is going to happen, it's bound to happen, right? I'm not going to be the kind of agent or coach ever that's going to tell someone the moment that's out of order, you failed, or there's no getting back on track. That's not true. It's bound to get out of order. But I think having that perspective and that belief really helps you stay grounded. Um, one thing I've taught here at Keller Williams is if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. It's that bold law. For me, actually, a different way of saying it is show me your calendar and I'll show you what matters most to you. Right? Show me your calendar and I'll show you what matters most, right? Maybe all of your business lead gen activities, appointments are all on your calendar. What about your day off? Is your day off on your calendar? What about your time with your kids? Is that on your calendar? Hey, and I'm saying this because I'm guilty of this too, right? But when I look back over the years, I think I've done a good job of, we still go to church on Sunday, and if a client wants to see a home at 10 a.m. Sunday morning, I can't show them the home because we go to church. That's what our family does, right? Hopefully that makes sense, right? So just like keeping your faith a priority first, your family second, and your business third. And don't forget like why you got into this in the first place. Like why did you didn't get into real estate so that you can spend every living waking moment trying to nurture leads and find leads and work. I remember when I got in this business, I'm like, I want to make a lot of money. I was money driven, right? But I also wanted to create like a fun life for me and my wife. And when I had kids, I hoped that I could spend more time with them, the flexibility, so I didn't have to work a 9 to 5, right? So don't forget that's why most of us got into this. The fourth thing is don't get caught up in other people's races. That's one I know I just discussed, but in all honesty, like I've fallen victim to this so many times where I see somebody in my office doing something a certain way and it actually discourages me, right? Because they're crushing it or they're killing it and I'm comparing what they're doing with where I'm at. But when you just take a deep breath, you look at your goals and you remember what matters most to you, you run your own race. And I don't think here's the thing, I think competition is great. And I think it's really healthy. And I love the fact that sometimes I'm not even on the top 20 of the month. I'm like, oh, I need to get my butt into gear. Like I need to get to work, right? So just don't get caught up in the race of what other people are chasing. Figure out what matters most to you and just go after that with everything that you have. The fifth thing I learned actually, and this is a funny one, but I think losing is good. I think losing is really good. Everyone always loves to talk about winning, success, being at the top, being number one. I don't think I would have a successful business if I hadn't lost so many times. Like if I didn't lose on that listing appointment, or if I didn't lose that past client that I thought for sure was going to call me when they were ready to sell. Because each one of those events helped me become a better person and helped me become a better agent. I see Heather put here, when you lose, you learn. It's true, right? So I know it's a cliche quote, but failure is not final, right? Failure is just an opportunity. It's an opportunity. How are you going to handle the failure, right? Are you going to learn from it? Or are you going to let it paralyze you? So losing is great. In fact, I hope that I lose sometime this week because that means I was that means I need to learn something. That means I have an area where I need to grow. And then, hey, the last one, number 6 is people matter most. I just wrote that down. And I think for me, it means like a lot of things, like what I've learned over the 6 years here. It's like, hey, this business is fun. Lead genning is amazing. Um, uh, Closing big sales feels great. Like, you know, being able to buy a home and doing what you can, being a realtor, like the sky is truly the limit. But at the end of the day, like who you're in business with is so important. And like the clients that you work with, like the relationships that you have, I mean, that's the part for me that I actually enjoy. Like I enjoy the relational aspect. I enjoy the people that I get to work with. I enjoy the clients that I get to help. And so for me, I've realized, hey, people matter most. And if I'm going to continue to grow and grow a big business, I have to be surrounded with the right people on my own team. I have to be in business with the right company, which for sure is Keller Williams. And that's what I've learned.
Man, those are awesome. Those are so good. There's so many little nuggets in there. So thank you for sharing all that. So I got just a couple of things. I,
Sure.
I, I would love it again. I'm going back to that empty parking lot
Sure.
because that was such an incredible story. And I would love for you to share that because I don't care what your production levels are. It really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to move right in from that over to the breakout session that you were in at Mega Camp on Balance. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually looking at the empty parking lot post to refresh my memory a little bit. Yeah, cool. So here's the thing: when you start selling a lot of homes, and you start, even before you do, like as you're building your business, not everyone's always going to see what you're doing, right? They don't always see what it takes to build what you're building, and that's okay. My post that I did was about the idea of this empty parking lot, and I had this realization recently where I pulled into the office, and it was on a Saturday, and there was no car in the parking lot. I was the only one here, and it hit me. I used to do that all the time. When I was a brand new agent, I was sometimes the first one to the office, and I was sometimes the last one to leave the office because it took that kind of dedication. It took that much hard work to try and figure out how to make this real estate business work. Like, how can I make this successful? And it hit me on that Saturday that it's the empty parking lot that really helped me with my success. And I think it's the same for you guys. I think not everybody sees those long hours you work. Not everybody's going to see you working on a Saturday, and where most agents, they might be out doing something different. You're the one who's showing up to the office working on your listing presentation. You're the one showing up to the office trying to find more leads. And so, yeah, that post was really just about my thankfulness for the empty parking lot, because it was those times that really taught me what it really does take to create a business.
thanks
Hopefully
for
that
sharing.
makes. I
I love
definitely did not share that as eloquently as my post.
Well,
um
I put you on the spot a little bit, but that see, I think that's it. You hit on a couple of things that I think are really super duper important. Number one, when you're in the beginning, it's not glamorous. I mean, people are putting in time,
yeah.
and it will go unnoticed.
Yep.
People may not recognize it and say, "Oh my gosh, great work," and all that, and you still do it, and you continue to do it, and you continue to do it, and when I really truly think about you and everything that I've read about you, everything that I've investigated, I think of persevere. I think of grit. I think of take no prisoners. Man, I'm just going all in. And there's days I know as human beings we don't want to go all in. We don't want to go all in, and you continue to do that. And then you talked about the one thing, and that's one of my favorite books as well. And in that, Gary talks about, life is a balancing act. There's going to be days or many days strung together that work is going to come first. And there's going to be days that family must come first. There's going to be days that those different balls that we juggle are going to have more attention than others. So tell me about that, because with your empty parking lot, I'm kind of segueing that into, you went all in and put a lot of time in. And then all of a sudden at Mega Camp, you're sitting on a panel about a balanced life. How,
So
how, how did you
yeah.
transition that, and how does that look now?
So I think of two things. I truly believe, like, no matter how big you build your business, no matter how big your team may be, you're still going to have empty parking lot days, right? I could imagine CEOs like Jeff Bezos. Like, I think of people who are at the top. They never really earn their way out of having to do hard work. That they could build a huge team under them and leverage their time and leverage a big business. But I think that's just the reality is, no matter how many homes you end up selling or big you build, you're still going to have those days that you work long hours. But if you live the life of an empty parking lot every single day, you're going to be empty in other areas of your life. And for me, I'd rather be poor in money and rich in relationship. That's so for me, I've gotten to a point where, yeah, there's going to be some days, and I think something people don't talk about is, like, when you're getting into this, or let's say you're starting to sell a lot more homes, have you hit the pause button to talk to your spouse or your family about what that actually might mean in the coming months? Like, I remember last year where, my wife and I were talking, and I was like, hey, so here's the deal. There's no open houses allowed in California. The only way a buyer can see a home right now is if I schedule a private showing and they go see it with me. You know what that means, right? That means that I got to get in the car and I got to meet them somewhere, or have people on my team meet them somewhere. And so we had a conversation about it, right? There was a clear expectation of, like, the life that we're about to live for the next 6 months. But I think also, like, the beauty of Keller Williams has taught me leverage. So I've hired on 2 showing assistants because of that. Because I realized, if this is how it's going to be for the next year, 2 years, I can't be the only one showing property. I will never have time with my kids or my family. Like, when do buyers want to see homes? Saturday, Sunday, and after 5 o'clock. Typically, when the rest of the world is resting, eating dinner, and doing their thing, right? like that's just true. So I had to build some leverage around that. So I think you can't. I think I want to be careful of, like, how I answer that, because I think there are seasons where, yeah, you know what, you have to make sacrifices, right? But that's just a conversation that you have to have with either yourself or the people you live with, your own family, and decide what you want. See, in that season, when we were younger, we didn't have kids yet, so that was easier for us to say, you know what, sure, I'm gonna grind all these days. My wife was working at Ruth's Chris, at a restaurant here, fancy steakhouse, and she was a bartender, and she'd work till 2 a.m. So to go work at a restaurant. We committed in that season to a full year of trying to make it work. Like, we had the conversation. We said, if this works, great. If not, you know what? At least we gave it a shot. And at the end of the day, we said we tried, and I could always go back and, take our local subway. It's called BART. I could always take BART to San Francisco, like the rest of my college friends are doing, and find some sort of job or internship. And, I don't think that will make me as happy as doing what I'm trying to do. So, I think there's seasons, Stephanie, in your life where, yeah, the empty parking lot is just your reality. But I think you got to be careful, because I think if you do that too much, you're gonna leave yourself empty in other areas of your life, and you're not gonna be fulfilled in what you do.
Gotcha. Great answer. Great answer. So true. So true. So I'm going to open this up for questions. But before we do that, I have one other thing I wanted to just touch on, and it really it made me smile. So when you got that package in the mail, and it was a book from Gary Keller, so how is that? I mean, he's like our, I don't know, Elvis.
Yeah, he's like our
I'm dating
Superman,
myself.
right?
I'm dating myself. Who would be anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. It's I think what's really cool is aside from like being starstruck and all that, I think what it really helped me realize is at the end of the day, he does care about the agent first. And so I think it was actually just a reinforcement of who the guy is, who he says he is on stage, and who he really is off stage. He's the same person. So it just gave me a lot of respect for him. I think it's really cool. Yeah, like I have a couple books. It's really funny. Is anybody getting late Christmas cards because of COVID? I feel like just the last week or two, I've gotten all these Christmas cards, and I'm like, the post office is a freaking mess around here. But I just got this Christmas card, from Gary Keller, and it says Onward. And hey, it feels great, but I think at the end of the day, what it really does is it tells me like he really cares about the well-being of us and other people and in our company, and he really honors the solo agent and the teams,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if you guys all realize this or how long you've been with Gary, but top solo agents weren't really a big thing until a year or two ago. Gary had an aha and was like, wait a second, like there's a ton of people out there who never want to grow a big team, and kind of gave everybody permission to say, you don't have to grow a team. You can, and we'll give you the tools, but you can actually build a big business as a solo agent too. And
It
so,
was, I'm going to segue right out. That was perfect. So
yeah,
what's your future plans? I mean, do you have any desire to be team, or do you like being solo? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
yeah, Stephanie, that is the magical question. Um, I think, yeah, I think I know what I want right now, and I'm getting a lot of clarity. And the clarity I have is, I think the purpose of a business is to build the perfect life and to fund the perfect life, right? Money's only good for the good that it can do. And so I am ready to grow a team. Um, I'm tired of wearing this hat and being like, I'm the guy. As much as I love being the guy, I don't love being the guy at 6:30 at night when I'm supposed to be eating dinner and I'm showing a condo. Just being honest.
Well,
Um, I care about my clients. I'll do anything for them, but I also want to do anything for my family. So I have 2 young kids, and it's just not the right season for me to just be a solo agent without leverage. It does not make sense. So for me, I'm ready to build a big team. I'm really excited about it. And that's where I'm headed. So this time next year, I might not be Mr. Solo Agent anymore. I might be building my team and having a few agents under my belt and figuring things out. And I'm excited about that, actually. I'm really excited.
Well, the reason I went there is because at the beginning, before we really got started, we were talking about you coaching and being one of 3 productivity coaches in your market center and still
Sure.
building this awesome business. Because when we talk about building, it's really about how can we bring others along
Yeah.
and help their world get big in your really, really big world. Because if you're still being a productivity coach in a market center when you've got this incredible business, what that is saying is there's something that you're getting from that, right? It's feeling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm ready to my pastor's getting his real estate license. One of my wife's friends getting his real estate license. Like I'm ready to help these people that are already great people that we live life with. I'm ready to help them kind of step into a new realm of financial opportunity and just overall well-being. And I think I can provide that as someone who knows how to build a business and find business, and I can train them, and we can do life together in business. And then as a result, like for example, he my pastor's not going to be able to buy a home where we live. It's so expensive, right? The average price is 800,000 to 1 million. Can you imagine being I mean, pastors don't get paid that much, right? So he's like, hey Jay, what if I got my license and I sold a few homes a year? You think I could buy a house? I was like, let me help you. So he's getting his license, and he should be licensed within 2 months. And I said, hey, my goal is within 12 months is to help you save up enough money for a down payment on your first house. And he's like, now you're speaking my language. And I'm like, let's do it. So
Oh,
he's ready. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, how's he going to do that as a pat? Like he has some free time to show homes, and he's got Saturdays, and he's ready. So yeah, I think you're right, Stephanie. I definitely have that side of me that's like an encourager. I want to help people um, experience what I've experienced, and not just I just want to help people experience what's possible for them. I think so many people just live this safe, boring life, and that's just not me. And I think there a lot of people are being sold that idea too through their, I don't know, their parents, other people, their employer. Um, there's a world of opportunity, especially here at Keller.
well, I think that goes back to what you said. There's going to be people out there that are going to tell you when your dream is and goals are really, really big, they might try to talk you out of it. Because the fear of the safety factor
Yeah.
is alive and well in here. It's alive and well. But so you touched a little bit on one other thing I want to touch on. You are really big about helping out your community. You've got a drive going on now for coats for the community, and I love that you're giving back. You are doing something incredible. Do you have enough coats? Is there ever enough?
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. We've gotten a decent amount of donations. Yeah, by the way, that's one of my strengths these days, you guys, is client events. If you're not doing client events, I highly recommend it. Um, I think I was listening to a panel one time, and this agent was like, that is my lead gen. Is like, I do 4 events a year, and that gives me permission to call them and see how things are going and ask for a referral. I've always felt awkward about calling my buddy Brad and being like, hey Brad, who do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, right? Like, I'm not saying that doesn't work, but I'm just being honest. That's always felt weird for me. So I do these events, and then I kind of coordinate and schedule my lead gen around that honestly through a lot through text messages these days too. I do a lot of texting, Facebook messaging. Um, but yeah, so do I have enough coats? I don't know. We'll see. My goal is 300. I think we're on our way. But like, you guys think about like the kind of commissions you get to make. Like, you're gonna make anywhere from 5,000 to, I don't know, sky's the limit, right? You can make a $50,000 commission in this business. Now, I know you're probably rolling your eyes. You're like, not in Oklahoma. I don't know. You could get into some sort of commercial deal. You could do that. License you have in your wallet is a powerful thing. So I think it's just really cool that we can actually use our business to fund like other people's well-being in their life as far as giving back. So yeah, one of the things we do is a coat drive. This year, I'm doing a new thing. I haven't advertised it yet, and it's still a little low key, but there's a lot of special needs families in our community that are under-resourced. And so for us as a team, once we get to a certain threshold of income, we make out of it, basically, we did the math. Every 5 homes we sell will give us enough money to help that family who has like a family member with special needs buy like a really expensive chair or a swing or something that they probably would not be willing to spend the money on because they're so tight financially, right? Think
Mm.
about what you can do with your business. Like, is there something that you've been wanting to do and give towards in your life? Like, you can do that. You can fund that yourself. No one's preventing you from doing any of that. So just wanted to share that to encourage you guys to think big as well. Like, what could I do with the money I make in my business, right? Um, so Paula said, can I talk about client events during COVID? Sure. So Paula, I'll give you a really good one that was probably one of my favorite events we've done so far. So we did fall family portraits at the park this last year. And you're probably wondering, well, how is that COVID safe, COVID friendly? It's actually really, really easy. So let me kind of give you guys the big picture on that event. So, around the holiday season, everybody does family photos and they send out a Christmas card, right? Why not be the person to provide them their family photo for their Christmas card that year? Like, you could do that. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I've got friends that are photographers. We're gonna go in together and promote their business and promote my business. And let's do this. So we partnered. We did it at a park, and we used Calendly to schedule 15 to 20-minute increments of when they would be scheduled to come do their photos. So there was no overlap. So in other words, like, we're there, my assistant's there 6 feet apart in her chair, the photographer's standing over by where they're going to do photos. People would drive up and they'd get out of their car when it was their time slot to do the family photos, right? So they got out of their car, they walked with the photographer, did their photos, came back, and simply got in their car and left. Didn't have to touch, didn't have to get close to me with the mask off. Like, it was totally safe, COVID friendly, and we leveraged Calendly so that there would be no overlap. Does that make sense? So that was a huge hit. Hey, we only had 10 people show up. So I think this is the other myth about client events too. I think everybody thinks you need to have this party of like 100 people and there's a DJ, there's drinking. No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to like throw a club party, right? Like, literally, if you can get 10 to 15 people at an event, that's really what it's all about, because it's about the quality of connecting with those people. So that's one COVID friendly event that we did last year. The coat drive that we're doing right now is another super COVID friendly event. We're actually doing it so they drive up and they drop off the coat bin into the coat bin without even having to get out of their car. So they're going to pull into our parking lot. We have a huge bin with a sign on it. It says drop your coats here. So like, literally, they're driving, they just grab their coat, drop it in the bin, grab our goodie bag, and drive away. We don't have to be near them. We don't have to touch. It's contactless, right? So I think you can get creative with some in-person events without ever having to come into close contact with somebody.
I love that. And Jason, one
Yeah.
thing I want to touch on the code, you're giving away for everybody that donates, they get entered into
Raffle ticket. So we actually found this company out. I can't remember the name, but they get a digital raffle ticket too. So we don't even have to hand them one. So
digital.
yeah. So for every sweatshirt, coat, or jacket they donate, they get a raffle ticket, and they could enter a raffle to win a $500 gift card to Home Depot. And we figure with everybody stuck at home, this quarantine going on, everyone's been working on home projects, right? So just a little incentive for them to show up, and an exciting opportunity for them to win something. At our I did an event last year pre-COVID where an Apple Watch was the main prize, right? So I think tying in like a prize and tying in a charity to your events is always a good thing. This event just so happens to be literally a charitable event. We're gonna do another one in April, where we're actually gonna send home an Easter egg hunt kit for people to do their own Easter egg hunt at home. Because I know there's some agents in here that do, like, they get an Easter bunny, like they actually get someone to come wear a costume and they do an Easter egg hunt at the park. We're gonna just keep it contactless, because I think we'll actually we've been getting better turnout doing it this way than in the past. So just to give you some ideas. Yeah.
I don't think we have any idea about when this is all going to change. So continue on.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit to go.
I think so too. Well, I keep saying I'm going to open it up for questions. Now I will. Who has any questions for Jason? Don't be shy.
Oh. Hey, can you hear me, Jason?
Yeah, hey.
How's it going? So this one is probably for the new agents that are here. This is my second day.
Brand new.
Yes.
That's awesome, man. What's your name?
You.
What is it? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Jack. Woodward.
Okay, Jack. All right, cool. What's going on, Jack?
Not much. So one thing that really stuck is that when you said habits decide your future.
Yeah.
So for all the new agents here, what would you say is one habit that we could start from the get-go that we can do every day to be better, to better ourselves? What would you say is one habit?
Yeah, man, that is such a great question. Because obviously there's a million different things you could start with, right? So if you had to pick one good habit, what would that be? I would just say get in a habit of prospecting for business. I mean, honestly, nothing else matters. Your creative social media posts, your fancy postcard, that's all good. Don't hear me wrong. But creating a habit of prospecting for business every single day and every single week, like that should be your main focus. So it could simply look like a 3-hour time block. Between 9 and noon every single day, I'm prospecting for leads
Okay.
and creating a habit around that, right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question.
Who else has a question?
What are you reading right now?
Ah,
That is actually a really good question. Man, I started a book that's actually an autobiography from Barry Zito called Curveball. It's been interesting so far. But I kind of got paused on that. So I had this really good habit, speaking of which, that was going for about 3-4 weeks straight of reading in the morning, exercising, and then starting my day. And then I have a 3-month-old whose sleep schedule is whack. So past week, have not been reading. I will say, Missy, I have been doing a lot of listening on Clubhouse, actually, instead of, so like when I'm on my way to work, I don't always listen to music, but I'll just kind of jump into a Clubhouse chat, which is like a new social media platform. And what blows my mind is like the people that are on there and like crushing it already are the people who are really good with tech and systems and video. And so I'm learning so much every day from just listening to these people who have 10, 20, 30, 50,000 followers on Instagram, right? Now, just because they're all glamorous doesn't mean it's all good, but that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
good question. Who else? All right. Okay, Jason, now you need to tell us when we have all kinds of referrals to send you in East San Fran, where do we find you?
Yeah, so make sure we connect on KW Connect first and foremost. I'd love to connect with you on there if we're not already connected. And then on Instagram, honestly, if you shoot me a follow, I'll try and follow you guys back. Just do _ Jason Moon. That's my name on Instagram. Yeah, so I'm in the San Francisco East Bay area, very specific market. So if you hear of someone looking in San Francisco, if I'm not the guy, we have so many great agents in this area. You know what I mean? So like, we have a great network of people out here. I have not heard of one person moving to Oklahoma recently. I know it seems to be Tennessee. Tennessee's just stealing all the thunder from California right now. I swear, everybody I've met is moving, or Texas. They're moving to Texas, Tennessee. I think Idaho's on that list too. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, cool. But yeah, find me on Connect. Let's make sure we're referral partners on there. And I also have a Facebook group called Over the Moon Referrals with Jason Moon. And yeah, so come jump in and join on that. If you are looking for an agent, in a different city and you have someone to refer, that's also a good resource to find somebody. Obviously, KW Connect is a great resource too.
Thank you. Well, Jason, we are in the words of Gary Keller, we truly are over the moon for Jason.
Yeah.
I absolutely, I love that. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate your time today. And, if there's anything we can do for you way out here in Oklahoma, we're a phone call away. And thank you. Good luck with that beautiful family of yours. If you haven't done anything, check them out on Facebook. Your family is incredible. And I love the way you mix it up. You've got your real estate business there, you got your family there, and it's just a great blend. And just keep doing what you're doing. We're going to hear more things about you. That group and team, watch out.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do this thing. Let's do
Right.
it.
So
This is going to be a great year. I'm excited for all of you guys too. Thanks, Stephanie, for the opportunity. It's been awesome.
fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for jumping on. Appreciate you guys.
All right, see you guys later.
Bye-bye now.